If you'd like to learn more about poetry, you can reach us at... Psych, we just kidding. Good night, y'all.
Well, all of us aren't. And welcome to... Hi everyone, welcome back to Hearts and Minds official YouTube channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Satosh Pillai, a published poet and freelance writer. Please make sure to leave a comment down below after you're done watching the video, share it with your friends, don't forget to like. For more information on this or any other episode, go to the website heartsandmindone.wordpress.com. There are additional resources, more reading material, episode-related content, and a link to a book if you're interested. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Ezra Pound. Ezra Pound is widely considered one of the most influential poets of the 20th century. His contributions to modernist poetry were enormous. He was an early champion of a number of avant-garde and modernist poets, developed important channels of intellectual and aesthetic exchange between the United States and Europe, and contributed to important literary movements such as Imagism and Vorticism. His life's work, the Cantos, remain a signal modernist epic. Its mix of history, politics, and what Pound called the periplum, that is, a point of view of one in the middle of a journey, have given countless poets permission to develop a range of poetic techniques that capture life in the midst of experience. In Introduction to the Literary Essays of Ezra Pound, T.S. Eliot declared that Pound is more responsible for the 20th century revolution in poetry than any other individual. 4 decades later, Donald Hall reaffirmed in remarks collected in Remembering Poets that Ezra Pound is the poet who, 1,000 times more than any other man, has made modern poetry possible in English. Pound never sought nor had a wide reading audience during his lifetime. His technical innovations and use of unconventional poetic materials often baffled even sympathetic readers. Early in his career, Pound aroused controversy because of his aesthetic views, later because of his political views, including his support for the fascist government in Italy. For the greater part of the 20th century, however, Pound devoted his energies to advancing the art of poetry. Pound was born in Haley, Idaho, and grew up in Philadelphia. He completed undergraduate work at the University of Pennsylvania and earned his bachelor's from Hamilton College, but he lived much of his adult life overseas. In his article How I Began, collected in Literary Essays 1954, Pound claimed that as a youth he had resolved to know more about poetry than any man living. In pursuit of this goal, he settled in London from 1908 to 1920, where he carved out a reputation for himself as a member of the literary avant-garde and a tenacious advocate of contemporary works in the arts. Through his criticism and translation as well as his poetry, particularly in his cantos, Pound explores poetic traditions from different cultures ranging from ancient Greece, China, and the continent to current-day England and to America. Pound's genre. Marked by heavy use of imagery, symbolism, free verse, and dramatic lyricism, his writings won global recognition. He was also the co-founder of Imagism movement that emphasizes the use of precision language to craft sharp and clear images in poetry. The use of haiku, a Japanese poetic form, an ideogrammic method, and the Chinese poetic form made his writing stand unique. Since he is considered the most important modernist poet, his pieces fail to follow conventional forms and discursiveness typical to Victorian and Romantic poets. Here are 5 poems of Mr. Pound that I'll be reading for you. The Return. See, they return. Ah, see the tentative movements and the slow feet, the trouble in the pace and the uncertain wavering. See they return, one and by one, with fear as half awakened, as if the snow should hesitate and murmur in the wind, and half turn back. These were the winged with awe inviolable, gods of the winged shoe, with them the silver hound sniffing the trace of the air. Hi, hi! These were the swift to harry, these the keen-scented, these were the souls of blood, slow on the leash, pallid the leash men, the lake isle. O God, O Venus, O Mercury, patron of thieves, give me in due time, I beseech you, a little tobacco shop, with the little bright boxes piled up neatly upon the shelves, and the loose fragment Cavendish, and the shag, and the bright Virginia, loose under the bright glass cases, and a pair of scales, not too greasy, and the Waterleys dropping in for a word or two in passing, for a flip word, and to tidy their hair a bit. O God, O Venus, O Mercury, patron of thieves, Lend me a little tobacco shop or install me in any profession. Save me from this damn profession of writing where one needs one's brains all the time. The garden. Like a skein of loose silk blown against a wall, she walks by the railing of a path in Kingston Gardens, and she is dying piecemeal of a sort of emotional anemia. And round about there is a rabble of the 50s, sturdy, unkillable infants of the very poor. They shall inherit the earth. In her is the end of breeding. Her boredom is exquisite and excessive. She would like someone to speak to her and is almost afraid that I will commit the indiscretion. The tree. I stood still and was a tree amid the wood, knowing the truth of things unseen before, of Daphne and the laurel bow, and that God-feasting couple old, that grew elm oak amid the wool. 'Twas not until the gods had been kindly untreated and been brought within under the hearth of their heart's home, that they might do this wonder thing. Nathless, I have been a tree amid the wood, and many a new thing understood that was rank folly to my head before. Salutation. O generation of the thoroughly smug and thoroughly uncomfortable, I have seen fishermen picnicking in the sun. I have seen them with untidy families. I have seen their smiles full of teeth and heard ungainly laughter. And I am happier than you are. And they were happier than I am. And the fish swam in the lake and do not even own clothing. And with that, we come to the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed the journey we took today. For a full biography of Mr. Pound and 25 poems created by myself and Mr. Pound, head to heartsnowingwonder.wordpress.com. Link will be in the description, all free of course. With each coming day, I hope you bring about a new change in your life with everything consistent and inconsistency in the course of life. I wish you all the best. Have a good night. Signing off. Have a good night.